Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And this is a show where we demystify technology that you don't understand, and most of the time we don't understand as well. But today on the show, we're going to demystify technology that he understands and I don't.
Oh, okay. I was hoping one of us would. Otherwise, why are we here?
Now you're going to do a show on RAID.
RAID!
Now, it's not bug killer.
Not bug killer.
And we have actually done an episode on this before, a long, long time ago, back at episode, what, 10 or 9?
8 or 9, yeah. I was using sandwiches as a
Using
prop.
sandwiches.
That's still one of my favorite episodes.
It's a very good episode. Anyway, so go check that out. But today we're going to do an update on it because RAID is apparently becoming increasingly important in our lives every day.
Yes.
So you say.
Potentially, yes.
I don't think I have any RAID technology on me at the moment, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, probably not.
But anyway, yeah, so RAID is hard drive technology of some flavor.
Yep.
Super fabulous. Okay, I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to see your hard drives. Okay, moving on. Let's take a break when we come back.
I think that's for the best.
Let's take a break when we come back. RAID, demystified today on Lab Rats. Oh, before we start this episode, don't forget, you can get 10% off your domains at hover.com, the best place to get domains and more like URLs like what?
Show me your hard drive or else.
.com. There you go. All right, this coupon here, 10% off, hover.com. Check it out. Okay, let's move on to things about hard drives.
Hard drives. RAID. RAID specifically.
Okay.
So we had someone ask us about RAID recently, and we thought, yeah, it's about time to cover this.
Things have changed in the world of RAID?
Yeah, so first of all, let's define what it is. RAID is a hard drive array. So it actually stands for redundant array of independent drives.
Yeah, very good.
RAID. So what it is using the power of multiple hard drives to do more with your computer, do more with your storage. So now, back in the day when we took a look at RAID, a lot of people were asking about it for a different reason than they would maybe today. So a lot of enthusiasts were putting together gaming machines, and they were saying, I'd like to get a little bit more speed out of it. There's a version of RAID that actually speeds up the computer a little bit, as we found out. That's not so much the case anymore. Things are pretty peppy. I doubt that there's too many people, other than the real enthusiasts, that are thinking of actually installing RAID in their machines to get a little bit of a speed boost. But there's other reasons why people would want RAID these days.
Now, once upon a time, though, RAID was an enterprise technology,
It was enterprise technology,
It was designed for businesses with large disks and wanted to make sure that their data wasn't corrupt and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there were a couple of reasons for RAID, and then we'll go into the different types of RAID before. But yeah, you're quite correct. It was pretty much business technology, and when people started asking us about 4 years ago, it was, why would we want this enterprise-level technology on the home computer? And as it turns out, not a lot of people did at that point, and a lot of people didn't up until more recently, until something started happening. Okay. And we actually have an example of it right here. So
let's start with RAID. So it comes in different flavors, right? RAID 0 through 5?
RAID, well, there's more than just that, but we'll talk about 3 specific ones. Now, the reason that a lot of people are starting to use RAID, do you have RAID in your house?
I don't think so.
Do you have a big external hard drive?
Yes.
Something like this, maybe?
I have one of those. Let's see.
One of these? Okay, well, if you look inside, you'll see metal on that side, but if you flip it around, look what we've got in there. We've got 2 drives in there.
Hey!
And you know what's keeping those 2 drives together?
What?
RAID!
Oh.
Yeah, so
okay.
Essentially...
Well, that would make sense. Yeah. I have an Apple time capsule, right? And it's a 2 terabyte drive in there for backups. There's not a 2 terabyte drive in there, is there?
There could be in some new cases. There are 2 terabyte drives in the past,
but chances are it's 4 500 megabyte or gigabyte, or 2 terabyte drives. Yeah,
2 1 terabyte drives. Yeah. A lot of older hard drive, external hard drives that were up to 2 terabytes were in fact this, especially the ones that were wider or longer like this. So you've got 2 of these drives put together in something called a RAID 0 configuration.
Okay.
So RAID 0 uses something called striping. RAID 1, which is another one that was very popular back in the day, uses something called mirroring. So essentially, I'll just put this one away for a second and bring out our prop drives here. So the concept is you want to keep your data safe or you want to make it faster. So 0 is the way to make it faster and to give yourself a much bigger disk. So we've got 1.5 terabytes on this drive here. We've got 1.5 terabytes on this drive right here. Okay, so RAID 0 uses something called striping, And it's called striping because it puts a stripe of data on this one, then it puts a stripe of data on this one, then a stripe of data on this one, and then one on this one. So back and forth between the two. And the reason it becomes faster is because this one has a latency time. The disk is spinning. It can't react very quickly to just keep streaming it. Whereas if you split between the two, then it becomes a whole lot faster.
So there's like get the data, get the data, get the data, get the data, as opposed to get the data,
get the data.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like bang, 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 instead of boom, 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 boom. So it does speed it up a lot compared to just putting it all onto one drive. Now, the one nice thing about striping is it creates a gigantic 3 terabyte drive out of these two 1.5 terabyte drives.
Right. So to the machine, to the computer, it looks like one drive, even though it's physically 2.
Right. And there's 2 ways that you can accomplish this. There's hardware. Let's actually bring this one back out really quickly again. There's hardware way to accomplish this, and there's software. So you can, on this one right here, we've actually got a controller down here, which is essentially creating the RAID configuration between these 2 drives inside. So it is handling it all in a very fast hardware-based way. Now, you can also do it in software on the computer, which is not as efficient. It's cheaper because you don't have to invest money in hardware, but it has some fallibility issues, and I said performance as well. It can potentially be an issue.
Okay.
Okay, so that's RAID 0. It divides between the 2. Now, the one problem, chunk, this drive just died.
Yeah, now what?
Well,
you have half your data.
No, you don't have any of your data.
Why?
Because half of it was on here, and it was sending it ... It's not like it was sending one file over here, and then another file over here, and then another file over here.
Half a picture of grandma's over here, half a picture of grandma's over here.
Yeah, and it's all put into tiny little chunks, so it's just like a sprinkling over here and a sprinkling over here, and you can't retrieve any. So
sad.
If this drive dies completely,
yes,
you're out of luck with this kind of configuration.
Okay.
And from a mathematical perspective, it's actually kind of unfortunate because the chances of one of your 2 drives failing is much higher than either one by itself.
That's true.
So you add more disks to that, the chances of something bad happening with the disk failure and losing all your data increases every disk you add to that. Right. So there's a way, another version of RAID that people are using. RAID 1.
RAID 1.
Very good. Gold star.
Thank you.
So RAID 1 is mirroring. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So for this right here, if you put this into the same external enclosure and set it up in a RAID 1 configuration, what it does is every time it puts a bit of data onto this one, it'll put a bit of data onto this one. Bang, bang. So data A, data A, data A, or B, data B, data C, data C.
So copying?
It's creating an exact copy on both drives.
Okay. So it's like mirroring. We'll call it mirroring,
It's called mirroring. Right. So now the downside is you've got 3 terabytes of data here, but it only shows up as 1.5 because it's the same on both. Right. So now the good thing about this one is, this one dies. Yep. Well, guess what?
Ta-da!
New drive, this one works, and it'll start copying everything back over to here.
So now you have, okay, right.
So now you have an exact copy.
This would be the insurance configuration.
Right. You don't get as much bang out of the amount of hard disk space that you have, but if you absolutely can't afford to lose the data, this is the way to go. Now you have a perfect copy, and if your drive fails, you can just swap it out with one that actually does work. Now it is worth mentioning that for these configurations, if you have different size disks, it will default to the lower size of the disk.
Sure.
So if this one's 1 terabyte and this one is 1.5, it'll be a 1 terabyte RAID configuration.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay?
All right. And what about RAID 2, 3, 4?
2, 3, and 4.
We don't care about those.
They exist, but they're not in common use in consumer applications.
To heck with them then.
So we won't really talk about them all that much.
RAID 5.
The next one we want to get to is RAID 5. So
that's awesome.
Let's get this into a configuration here. So now we've got this set up. We've got 4 different disks here. Now RAID 5, what it does, is, as opposed to doing a mirror or striping, is it does a little bit of everything. So you've got a bit of data here, a bit of data here, a bit of data here, and a bit of data here. Now, it has redundancy, so that if any of these fails, you can pull another one in and replace it. And if any one of them fails, you can do that. Because what it's doing is it's striping the data around here, but it's also sending parity bits, what's called parity, which is error checking technology. So a bit of error checking on this one, a bit of it on this one, a bit of it on this one, and a bit of it on this one, so that any of the other disks can pull that information. If this one has failed, pull that information, this one has died, then you replace it with a new one, it can replace that information from the other 3.
Oh, I see. So but I guess the downside here is that if that's a terabyte and they're a terabyte each, you're not going to get a terabyte worth of storage out of it.
Right. So the more...
Sorry, you wouldn't get 4 terabytes of storage.
No, you wouldn't get 4 terabytes. Now, the more drives you have in this kind of a configuration, the more efficient it becomes because it needs less parity information to make this sort of thing up. Right. And this is the case with some of the other RAID configurations as well. So there's some that have, okay, so these 3 are all data, and this one is error checking. If the error checking disk goes bad, then you have real problems potentially.
Right.
But then, again, the more of those disks that you add into the whole configuration, the more efficient it becomes. So if you've only got 1-to-1 in that kind of configuration, and one of them is all error checking, well, you've only got 50% efficiency. You only got 3 disks, then you've got 66% efficiency. In this case, you're getting to 75, and then you can go even higher.
So I could potentially get a 3 terabyte drive out of 4 terabytes of physical space.
Around
with the insurance packed into it.
Yeah, and the nice thing about a lot of RAID configurations is that you actually have the ability to hot swap the drives. So you don't even have to fire down this configuration. If you have the right enclosure, you can just
one out,
yank the disk. And I'll show you one such configuration that we've got. So we showed you one, let's see, drive. This is another one right here. This one right here is called the 4 big Quadra. And it's a gigantic enclosure.
Now, we should point out that we use this at Lab Rats and Butterscotch to store a lot of our video, correct?
Right. So the nice thing about it is it creates a gigantic disk, a massive size that you don't get off of one single drive, so that you can store a lot of data and a lot of contiguous data. So if you have a very large video file, it'll fit on there. And it's very fast as well because it's pulling off of multiple disks.
Right.
And with something like this, with the RAID 5 configuration, again, you have a failure. You just pull one of these drives out, like so, replace that drive in there, and then just slot it back in there. The hardware inside here will rebuild it automatically when you put the new disk in.
What does this cost?
It can be pricey.
Yes.
Depending on your configuration.
Right.
So we'll key that.
Okay.
Now, this one right here, each of these is, let's see, these ones are each about 1 terabyte, it looks like. So, we're getting big sizes here. And then if you get the new 2 terabyte drives, that makes them even more pricey. So the more disks you put in there, the more expensive it's going to get.
Okay, good.
Right.
What is this thing called the Drobo?
Drobo
sounds like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention that has sort of updated before we get to the Drobo is you'll see on this right here, this is actually designed to, a lot of these you'll see as NAS configurations, so they'll go onto your network by Ethernet. But a lot of these as well. Are we going to play the sheep video again?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Here we go, right here. I love it. Okay.
Right. So, but these will also connect directly to your machine as well for times when you need faster than the network configuration. So we've got FireWire 400, we've got FireWire 800, we've got USB, and we've got eSATA on this as well. Wow. So that you can connect directly to the machine and get really high speed out of this as well.
So you'd be a really cool geek if you had one of these.
You'd be a really cool geek with one of these.
You too could be a cool geek.
All right, so now you mentioned Drobo.
Drobo, tell me about Drobo because I like the Star Wars series.
So Drobo is actually short for Data Robotics. Now they have a whole series of drives out there for consumers and for professionals. And they use a technology called Beyond RAID, which is based on the techniques of RAID, but it's not exactly RAID. So it has more features, so they say, of built into this that allow you to recover data more thoroughly. It's more secure, all of that stuff. We haven't had a chance to get one into our hands and try it out ourselves. We will do that in the future. And some people have given them a little bit of heck before for not conforming to actual RAID standards. It doesn't fit into, you have to learn about this.
Apparently Kelly Lewis gives Drobo a lot of love.
Yeah, Callie loves Drobo, and everyone that
Drobo loves Callie, come on.
Yeah.
And who doesn't really?
Yeah. And the people that get a Drobo absolutely love it. So I can't say anything bad about them. I can't say anything good about them. But we'll get our hands on one of them and give it a try.
I think that's a good idea.
The one thing I love about Drobo is that we did see at CES this year is they do have this new configuration that has 8 hard drive slots. You can put them in and get like a huge disk. Now, without the drives, about $3,000, so it's not cheap.
Wow, that is crazy.
But it is pretty cool.
Big drives, lots of insurance, hooray. Okay, let's take a break. Here comes a commercial, and we come back, a clip from butterscotch.com, and your pictures after this. Now, I bet you feel really geeky, right? With all this RAID stuff. You can talk at the breakfast table tomorrow. Mom, guess what? I want to get a Drobo. Right?
Sure.
Yes. So And if you have children, you want your kids to be geeky too. So we're going to show you a clip from a brand new show we're doing on butterscotch.com called Developer Junior, which your kids and your tweens and even your teens might like. It teaches them all about how to program, how to be gamers, build games, and be techie. So let's take a look at that, episode 1 of Developer Junior. When we come back, picture time.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List.
Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
Today, I'm going to show you Kodoo, which is a game programming system. Lets you make your own video games without all the hassle of crazy, complex computer programming languages.
Wait, do I need to know math?
Nope.
Oh, that's great.
All you need is an idea for a game. You can program it with a keyboard and mouse, but I much prefer to use an Xbox 360 controller.
Oh, I have ideas for games and controllers.
Yeah, well,
I'm a programmer.
yes, you are. And with Kodoo, it's pretty easy. And Kodoo, you can download for the PC for free, or if you got 400 Xbox points, you can download it into your Xbox.
All right, so you can see that entire thing on butterscotch.com, so check it out.
You know what?
All right.
I really like Dev Junior. I can relate to it because I know what it's like to have a big 12-year-old puppet as a co-host.
Thank you, I think.
No problem.
There you go. All right, picture time. Picture time, my favorite time of the day. Picture time. So what do we have pictures-wise?
Well, we have these being delivered from our RAID configuration over in the other room.
Yes.
So first one we've got is from our friend Sean, who's in Missouri. He sent us a picture of a calculator before. Now he sent us hard drives. It kind of worked out.
Kind of worked out nicely.
So this is not in a RAID configuration because they're all different drives and they're all they're not hooked up to anything. But he does have lab rats on his iPod Touch.
That's
so
good.
very
That's called creativity.
Yes.
I like that.
So we've got another picture. This one from our friend Black Pepsi, a.k.a. Kyle. And this is a picture of, I'm assuming, his cat in his backyard.
Do we know the name of the cat?
We do not.
Out of focus cat.
Let's just say out of focus cat.
Out of focus cat. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, you can send your. Is that it?
That's
That is
it.
You can send your pictures to us via email at.
You can get a Drobo if you want one at labrats.tv.
Or more simply,
Feedback at labrats.tv.
I like the first voice. You can do a.
Feedback at labrats.tv.
More like it. All right. Don't forget lots and lots of tutorials and shows and back episodes of Lab Rats over at butterscotch.com. Get 10% off your domains at hover.com with this coupon code right here. Any final thoughts? It's right there. Look.
It's always confusing because you say that, but there never is one right here.
The editor doesn't always key me.
Not in real life?
No.
That'd be handy.
That's right. Anything? Any final thoughts, Mr. Raid?
No, although I did notice one interesting thing. I don't know if you can see this, Matt. Right in the middle of these drives I'm finding these days, there's actually QR codes in these things. We talked about QR codes. Well, we didn't talk about them, but we showed one.
Yeah.
But there's like QR codes all over these things. And I guess one of the nice things about this is, they help identify components. So if the hard drive goes bad, they can look at it and say, okay.
You could read that with your iPhone app, right?
You could. Well, maybe not these ones because they're specialized, but I just find that interesting. I just wanted to mention that.
That's fun. Thank you.
Anyways.
See? Always has interesting things to say, most of the time. All right, well, thank you for being out there. It'd be foolish for us to be here with our hard drives and our Drobos if you weren't out there with your computers wanting more space. My name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time.
Are you ready?
Sean, don't forget to talk about the newest version of RAID. Well, you got RAID 0. You see, you got RAID 1, RAID Vanilla Cherry.
I don't get it.
It's because it's like a Coke flavor. I was working on that one for like 5 minutes.
I don't get it.
Like, because you got RAID 0, Coke 0, then you actually had Pepsi 1, and now you have Pepsi Vanilla Cherry.
You know what? The best jokes are the ones you have to explain.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are just
I'm going to write a book about your next one.
Okay.